Hey everyone, this is Robert Jackson. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. And today we're just going to get right into this, jump head on. And today we're going to be chatting with somebody who you might have recognized. You've heard you've heard this person's voice on a lot of various different animated series, from Jimmy Neutron to a lot of different other projects, Peter Pan and Monster High, many other different credits to her name. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Debi Derryberry. Thank you for joining me
Thank
today.
you. Thanks, Robert. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Would you like to just share, like, before we go into this, just talk about like what you've been up to, what you've been working on, just your little portfolio, just pretty much the general gist of what you do.
Oh, what I do is voiceover work. So I have an agent who sends me auditions, and I try to bat them back to the agent as quickly as they send them. Sometimes I'll have up to maybe 15 auditions in a day. So I'm at home working hard in my booth because we don't really go into the studios too much anymore. There are a couple studios I will go into if everybody there is vaccinated and I don't have to be in touch with anybody. We're very distant. Um, so this week has been extremely busy. I know it's only Monday of this week, but last week, I think I was in front of that mic working for, gosh, probably 18 to 20 hours straight, all me, right in front of the mic. It was a lot. And a lot of it, I wasn't even talking. You know, I specialize in little boys' voices, and girls, but also babies and animals and um, mushrooms, just silly voices. So I've been having so much fun. Um, and I've had to rest my voice a lot because sometimes these sessions can be very difficult and stressful on my voice. So yeah, same old, same old. You know, some people think that being in voiceover this long and having a lot of credits, as you said, to my name uh, might make my life seem a little posh and celebrity-ish, and it's so not. I'm here in my booth working all day, every day. You know, I pop out for lunch or I pop over to do my errands, but I'm right here interviewing and auditioning and working.
Yeah. Kind of like the same with me ever since COVID. It's just been like, yeah, I'm just in my little cave and just recording, just making silly stuff behind the microphone for who knows how many hours. So, um, but
Exactly.
um, Yeah. So I also wanted to ask, how exactly has COVID really changed how you've been working, or just pretty much because, like you said, you've just mainly been recording from home now, and yeah, you don't really go into a studio that often anymore. So how has it really changed, I guess, your lifestyle or just your work ethic in general?
Well, I would say the work ethic is the same. I always try to be exactly early, or if not, exactly on time early. Um, I try to be prepared for my jobs. I, uh, pay a membership to Source Connect every month. So if I need to be in a session where they need that particular software to connect to the session, I have it. Whereas before pandemic, we didn't work from home that much. Um, but I don't get to have the social presence with everybody that I did before. Before we'd go into a studio, you are with people, you talk to people, you hug people, and all that's gone. So all I get to see of people is their, digital image in the booth. And sometimes there's, 10 or 15 people on a session. But what's different is that in addition to me being virtual, usually the director would be there in person as the engineer would be. Well, now the engineer has to figure out how to work, how to connect with everybody with their system. And there, I'm pointing to my booth. That's what I'm doing when I'm pointing over there. I'm pointing to my sound booth. The engineer has to connect with you via your sound booth and your microphone and make sure it sounds good. The director is directing you, usually from home, and everybody has distractions. There's kids in the back and dogs and cats in front of the screen. So you really need to completely focus and know that everybody else is trying to stay undistracted as well. Another difference I've noticed is that I can book jobs hour to hour. Before, they'd say, all right, for this cartoon, you're there from 8 to 10, and then you'll need to eat and travel time, so they can't schedule you again till 2 hours later. Well, now they can schedule you 15 minutes later. That gives you time to hop off the session, go pee, grab some food, and get back into your booth. So they can have you work a lot more and you have to drive a lot less. Not that I get that many jobs where that happens, but the way they book things now, it's a lot busier in my brain, and I have to be very meticulous with my calendar. I work on iCal, and like today, there are red blocks from 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and they're all either meetings, teaching, interviews, auditions, jobs, and they're all from right here. And that was never this way when we, pre-pandemic. And the other big difference is that I am ultra careful about my health now, because if you get COVID, you won't be able to do voiceover for at least a week or two, but maybe 6 months, maybe never, because it's one of those viruses that can attack your your work organs, your lungs. It'll wreck you, and then you can't do what you need to do. So, much more cautious about health. Those are the things that have changed for me mostly during pandemic. And I feel like I don't know how to talk to people anymore. Like I'm losing those social skills. When you show up in a room and you know how to talk and you're all comfortable, I'm like, what do I do now? There's a person here.
Yeah, I think I've seen on your Instagram that you actually reunited with, and also funny that I'm actually going to segue into this little fun fact here, but I actually interviewed Mike Bell, and then I saw your Instagram post that you guys actually ran into each other in person again. So it's like, oh, that's really nice because you actually worked with him. He was directing the Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates series. So
That's right.
I just thought it's really funny how it just all kind of segue into pretty much this little interesting bit of trivia that I had, in the back of my mind. So yeah, at least you get to see at least your old colleagues every now and then, in the midst of all the craziness going on in the world. So at least
Yes.
it's nice to at least keep in touch with, you know, those that, really helped you along your career in a way.
Yep, there it is nice to have these either random run-ins or if they needed something like Michael came over because I was giving him
Yeah.
some lemons. So I picked some lemons and we talked over the fence with our masks on and we'll take them off quick for a picture and back on. And people will come by to pick up this or that and we'll have these quick interchanges over the fence. And
Nice.
if we know someone's very safe, we'll have dinner with them or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to connect with these people over, the decades I've been in voiceover. It's still the same wonderful, tight group of voiceover actors.
Yeah.
Good group.
So I was also doing, I do my homework before I do these podcast interviews. So I've done my bit of research, and you actually had a music background, if I'm not mistaken. So did you feel like having a music background really helped you transition into an acting career back when you first started out, and particularly into your voiceover career?
Um, well, I started acting when I was 8 years old. I was in my first play, and that was uh, a part of my life that was separate, being in plays, and that performance aspect. And that went all the way through college where I continued in drama. Singing was separate for me, and I got my guitar when I was 9 years old, and I started writing and playing and singing in front of people and performing. So they were both performing, but different ways. And then I've made three preschool CDs, albums, and um, two or three country albums with my band Honey Pig. Um, it's my voiceover is separate from my singing, and I really don't do much theater anymore. But the singing helps so much in voiceover for a couple reasons. One, obviously, the mic training, teaching you how to speak in front of a microphone and how to use a mic. Secondly, it's very melodic, so you can understand what someone means when they're telling you to go up or go down. If they want you to parrot their line, the way they say something, if the director says, "This is how I want you to say that line," and they give you a line read, you can do that because it's like singing a song. I've noticed that singers tend to have an easier time of it in voiceover. It certainly doesn't mean that non-singers can't excel and do really great. It's just that uh, I know that most of us who have been in it for a really long time can sing. So there is a connection, and the performing and drama obviously helped because it's a voice acting job. It's not just voice, it's not just getting in front of the mic, it's acting in front of the mic. So, yeah, all those things did come together.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I've also learned that your very first acting, I mean, as far as movies, as far as they go, like live action on camera stuff, your first role was Skeeter and was working with Jim Varney in 1988 on Hey Vernus Ernest. So, how was it like actually working with Jim back in the 80s as a
Well,
young actress?
well, Jim was very intelligent and well read, and we were on a set, so none of my scenes were with him. So I'd see him in passing, and we'd chat a little bit, but we weren't like dear friends because when you're doing a TV show, your scene is with who you're with. But to know that I was in his show was an honor, and he plays this really crazy persona on camera, but really he's just reserved, educated man. Um, so it was sort of this alter ego of his, this Hyvern thing. They saw me, one of the producers of that show saw me doing a play at Tennessee Repertory Theater, playing Scout, who is the 12-year-old girl in To Kill a Mockingbird. When I was 23 years old, I was playing a 12-year-old. They saw me in this play and put me in the TV show without even auditioning me. They just put me in it. And so I was able to join the Screen Actors Guild, and I was able to stop waiting tables. So that was my first on camera gig, not my first on acting gig, but my first on camera regular gig. Prior to that, I certainly had still done commercials. I had an agent in Nashville, so I had done elves and various little roles. But that's the one that got me into the Screen Actors Guild.
Awesome. And you also swam with Kiko for the film Free Willy. And how is it like also working on that movie in particular?
Well, I want to preface that, Robert, with saying that if I was offered that job now, I would not take it because I do not believe keeping mammals, whales in captivity like that. Looking back on that poor whale in that whale tank that was too tiny was cruel and awful. But I didn't know that then. All I knew was that I really wanted this job, and they said we needed a short scuba diver who was the same size as a 12-year-old boy, which I still am, and I'm a scuba diver. And they said the boy is too young, the star of the movie is too young to really swim on the real whale. It's just too dangerous. We need an adult who's a scuba diver. So that was me. So I spent 7 weeks on the back of this whale in the whale tank swimming, hanging out in the bottom of the tank, um, letting him know me. I was basically the prop. My job was to, there's a scene where the boy trips and falls to the bottom of the swimming pool, and the whale goes down and rescues him and brings him up. In the actual movie, that's probably only a 5 minute scene, but it took 7 weeks for me to learn how to lay down on the bottom of a whale tank, 18 feet down in 60-degree water, and let a killer whale, pick me up with his nose and bring me to the surface. It was pretty crazy. It was an awesome job.
Uh, So transitioning over to your voiceover work, because like I mentioned, you've done various projects like F is for Family, Monster High, Taz-Mania, The Addams Family, Coco Bandicoot, and of course, um, like Billy and Mandy. And the one that people often know you for, your most well known, is Jimmy Neutron. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that you got asked this like various like a million times how you got to work on the show and et cetera, et cetera. So I guess something that I wanted to ask you prior to that working on that show was so did you kind of expect Jimmy Neutron to like take off the way it did and to become such a success on like Nickelodeon, like prior to when you first started working on it? And looking back, did you expect for it to have like such a large devoted fan base? Because I usually ask this to
Well,
actors. Yeah.
when we audition for a role as voice actors, we just do our best. We go in and we read for it and we forget about it because you never know if you're going to book it or not. And like I said, sometimes I have now, 10 to 15 auditions per day. Back then, we might have had 7 or 8 per week, and we would drive to the auditions. So when I auditioned for Johnny Quasar, which it's what it was called before it was called Jimmy Neutron, and they ended up picking my voice for it. The audition was for a little interstitial, just a short 7 minute little pilot clip, and that was back in the day when they had uh, VCRs. So they made this little VHS tape of it, and I watched it, and I thought that's pretty cute. I could see that becoming something else. And
Yes. Yes.
then we have to forget about it. But then the agent calls and said, "Guess what? They're gonna do a movie, and you get to be Jimmy Neutron." Okay, that's awesome. So we did the movie, and I didn't know all these big people were going to be in it. I just recorded by myself. I saw Patrick Stewart coming and going in the studio, and it was pretty exciting. And then you do the movie, and guess what? It's going to be nominated for an Academy Award. Well, how about that? And then guess what? We're going to do a cartoon series too. So we did a cartoon series, and so things were gradual. It wasn't like, guess what? We're going to put you in this blockbuster star movie and it's huge. It's not like that. You start small and you see how it does. This one happened to do amazingly well, and over the years, it's kind of insane to me how many fans there are. And I keep crossing my fingers that they'll bring Jimmy Neutron back because I think it's time. Speaking of time, we're coming up on when I have to get to my next appointment, so we might have to wrap it up. But yeah, Jimmy Neutron has been an amazing part of my career, and I'm so grateful.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's not even getting into your performances in anime like Zack Bell and Sailor Moon, which and especially with like the whole talks with like because I know that in the industry there's been talks with anime going union. I just wanted to hear your own 2 cents on this real quick before we do have to wrap it up.
There is union anime. A lot of anime is non-union, but a lot of anime is union. It pays a lot less than say, a new cartoon that you're not dubbing lip flaps. But there are both, and I just like to work, and I've been really lucky to be in a lot of great jobs.
Nice. So yeah, would you like to share the projects that that are not under NDA that you can talk about that people would love to check out? Any new stuff that you're working on, or just
Sure.
anything that you've got, not just voiceover, but just any new like projects or content that you're doing? Talk to us a little bit about your classes, just anything just to self promote
Let's
yourself.
see. Well, I do coach privately, and people can always contact me on the website. I have the second edition of my book I wrote, Voiceover 101, How to Succeed as a Voice Actor, and that one's available on Amazon. Um, F is for Family, like you said, is running on Netflix, and that's a very funny cartoon. It's a little raunchy, but it's starring
Over.
Bill
Oh
Burr and
yeah.
Laura Dern, and I play a lot of characters. I play the daughter Maureen, and the neighbor Bridget, and the neighbor Philip, and Kenny, and the nurse. So that's super fun. We're finished with the show, but it's still running. I'm also on a very funny Adult Swim Cartoon Network show called Tig Tone, and I play the co-star named Helpy, who's this little purple creature whose arms and legs can be pulled off and they regenerate. Uh, I'm working on, you're right, a lot of projects that I can't talk about because they're all under NDA. What is coming up? Oh, Guild Wars 2, the new chapter, End of Dragons, was just released, and I play the voice of Timey, who's very smart girl who works in a lab a lot. She's not like a female Jimmy Neutron, but she's amazing. Uh, yeah, I can't talk about much else there until it's out. I can't discuss it. But thank you for having me. And I will be in Pennsylvania the weekend of, I don't know when you're going to air your podcast. It'll probably be over by this weekend, which is March 26th. But if people want to know where I'll be, they can always go to my website, debiderryberry.com. It's DebiDerryberry, just like this right here, .com. And you can keep up with me and see what I'm up to. That is it. Get vaccinated for COVID, spay your dogs and cats. How about that?
Awesome. And do you have like any closing words or any final farewells, goodbyes, either as yourself, as a character? It's all up to you. The floor is yours.
Let's just say, think, 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 brain blast! Got a blast! That's Jimmy Neutron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
So with that, I am Robert Jackson. Thank you for watching the Station Square podcast. Tune in next time. And yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay hydrated. Please, it's going to be a really hot week coming up in LA. So yeah, until then, I'll see you all next time.
Thank
And
you.
tune out and peace out. And much love, laughter, as always. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.